Welcome back, everyone. Join me today as I take on the challenge of rebuilding this 1972 F100 from the ground up. Literally from the ground up. Do you think I can get this classic truck back to its former glory? Well, we're going to find out today. Woo! Did it. The cab is back on the frame. Follow along in today's video as I get the floor rebuilt, the firewall rebuilt, and much, much more. We even replaced the fuel tank in this video. Keep watching the entire video. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Let's get to the action. Russ has just taken over the interior of this truck, and it's time to start fresh. And with that, we will be dropping out this floor pan and replacing it with that. A new floor pan going into the 72 Ford. Well, I already got quite a bit of metal pre-cut before this cab went out to sandblasting and to get primered. A couple of these are already made for the truck. I have to cut up quite a few more. I saw a couple other videos of how people brace trucks. I'm kind of combining all those together. I'm going to add in an X as well so the corners stay perfectly square to each other. And then add additional braces from that front bar down to the firewall, because I'm worried the center of the firewall is going to bow in and then this pan's not going to line up anymore. Cab fully braced up. I think we got enough bracing in here. I was able to put the X in it. Inside here, we got the ones from the back side and against the firewall. I put two out to the actual firewall itself to hold that from flexing in. Also put one to this back wall. This is where it comes up in the back, down below for the drive shaft and all that. So I put a support from there, tacked it or welded it to this bar and then to the X itself. So hopefully it all stays square. Comment down below what you think about this bracing setup. I mean, there is a little flex to it, but I'm looking for this direction, which, I mean, not moving at all. I wasn't sure how much I was supposed to weld these to the body itself, because this is a little bit of a thin wall material, so I didn't want to burn through it. And eventually I got to cut this off and grind it back down and flush, so I didn't want to get carried away. But I think it's enough to move on to the next part of the project. Two plugs out, only about 500 more to go. I got all the plug welds drilled out. There's a couple that got stuck on the front firewall there just because it's 3 layers of material that's plug welded. So I think I got a lot of them drilled out at a good stopping point to now get the cab set to see if the floor will actually drop out. See, I didn't drill the plug welds out on this backside here. I drew this line because I have, where is it? This cab corner that I'm going to be replacing in this corner just because of all this rot down here. So I skipped over drilling out those plug welds because I'm going to cut across that line and patch that up anyway. So once we get to actually dropping the floor out, I will then cut that line there. But you can see all the plug welds out here too. That was a lot of drilling. Only broke one drill bit, surprisingly, but the whole saw, I guess, for the plug weld, that thing just broke it lasted the whole time for this backside, but on the front side, for some reason, it broke like 5 within 3 holes. So And so far, the bracing looks like it's held up really well. Nothing moved yet. I say yet, nothing should move. I did notice that there was a little bit of give here on the floor, like it dropped down a little bit over here. So that's a plus. I need to relieve the pressure off the floor now that I've drilled out all these holes, pick the top half of the cab up, and see if the bottom pan will actually fall right out. It'd be nice if it was that easy, but I don't think that's going to happen. And one day later, we got the floor out of the cab. Quite the undertaking, that is for sure. I thought it would go a lot smoother. It just didn't go well. All these plug welds I drilled out, but they might not have been perfectly drilled out. So if there was just a little bit still welded on, it was just a hassle to get that out. But in the end, we got the entire floor out. There was quite a bit more rust, which isn't surprising, right? Quite a bit more rust than I expected, especially down in these corners here. So I'm gonna have to make some patches. I believe the new floor pan I got to put in this truck, I have to attach to something here. I also have to make some new, I don't know, door jams, I guess. There's a lot of rust on this truck that the deeper I dive into this project, it just is more of a complete ground up restoration. This spot here, it's all rusted out like this. So I just notched out this corner because I'm gonna have to rebuild this whole section here. The floor pan does weld to these holes here, and there was supposed to be another one on this 90, but that got so rotted out it was no longer existent. So that's a challenge that we're gonna have to deal with next. Now I'm gonna try to clean up all these edges, or these flanges, whatever we want to call them, because that's where I'm gonna have to weld to once I get that other pan over here, and it needs to be a clean surface to start off with. I also cut the rear cab corners. They were all rusted out on the bottom. There was no good spot to patch to, so I cut small for now. But it perfect, right? Wouldn't you rather have new cab corners? So I got both of these, cut those while I was dropping the whole floor pan out. Figured do it all at once. These insides are a little rusted out. Maybe I should clean them up and paint them. Some like Rust-Oleum or something. Got the cab prepped as much as I think needed, and got the new floor pan set on jack stands, trying to drop this cab back in place. Let's see. Cross your fingers. Did I purchase the correct pan? Oh, hey. This is probably a two-person job. Oh! I'd say ordered it went pretty good. It's coming together. All right, drop it. Yeah, it's just me. This is gonna end poorly right here. No way it actually just falls into place, right? Right there. Don't move. Uh-oh. Check it out. Finally got the cab set onto this floor pan. It was quite the undertaking. You can't rush this, I figured out. This is my first time doing this, if you can't tell. Take your time making sure all of these spots are clean. If you're going to replace a floor pan yourself, you have to have every little bit of weld off of these flanges. If not, the cab just doesn't set down on this floor. So I had to go around and grind down a lot of this material just so it would fit. This is an aftermarket floor pan, so it's not going to match perfectly. And I thought I was at a little bit of a problem when there was a gap about an inch big on the front firewall here. I was like, something's just not adding up. And these door jambs, or whatever we want to call this, the front cab corner, door corner, were already sitting flat against the rocker panel. So I didn't think I could go any lower. The cab corners here, where the door is, they were already flush against this. So when I had an inch of space up on the firewall, I was very concerned that I screwed up. But now it's looking pretty good. With the help of quite a few clamps on this front side, the flanges met, the bottom corners are all down flat. This back side's a little odd though. As you can see, there's a little bit of a, like it's a little higher, which I'm not quite sure why. Now that we have the floor pan all set in here, I'm gonna go around and just get all these flanges back to flat against the floor pan, because I did bend a couple of them out just so it kind of dropped in place. I'm gonna get those all against the floor pan, and then we could start welding. That's gonna be quite the long project, so gonna get it all set and run a couple welds, and we'll go from there. Well, it's official. Got the cab floor welded back together onto the cab itself. It was quite a few welds. I should go count them all to tell you how many there were. It wasn't the easiest of projects because there wasn't much material, especially on this front firewall, to actually catch a weld to. So I'm gonna be using quite a bit of seam sealer. As you can see in this video, this front firewall just didn't seal up nice with my welds. Maybe I'm doing something wrong with the welding itself, but just a whole bunch of spot welds, so I don't think I could really screw that up. But it didn't really grab in a lot of spots because there's not much material. The material is so thin that there was just nothing for it to grab to. But in the end, we got everything welded back together, and now it's time to cut out our bracing system and see how we did. Bam! Just like that. All the bracing's out and nothing popped. Like everything just cut smoothly, nothing was flexing. I think I actually did it right. That's crazy. Now that the entire cab is opened back up and that bracing is all out, it looks so much better. Like this non-rusted floor is something I never expected in this truck. Got quite a bit of grinding and prep work to do still here. Have to replace some door jambs and patches here and there. Gonna finish up grinding away, replacing these lower cab corners, and we'll be that much closer to setting this cab back on the frame. Guys, it's been a couple days now, been working on this truck. Got the cab corners replaced. It's not my best work. It's pretty complicated. It's my first time, I guess, ever fabricating or patching a truck. All of this is the first time for me if you haven't caught on. But you really got to take your time with these cab corners or even patching anything. Originally, I thought I was going to be able to plug weld it back onto the cab, but then it would have overlapped and just wouldn't have looked good. You can really see this one has an indent to it. I couldn't figure out how to get it to pull out. I think I need a lot more tools in order to do that, and just something I don't have. The second one I did looks a lot better, especially this corner where people will see. This one seemed to have get a lot more square, but I ran into a problem where right here, the metal must have just been really thin right on this corner. I thought it was thick enough and it blew right through. And I had to put a patch above the other patch. Not ideal. Again, I'm hoping this looks okay after we get it smoothed out and painted. This is just the cab corner, so hopefully a lot of people don't see it. You that know how to do this work probably have the right way to do this. I measured and cut this multiple times, got it nice and tight, and you tack weld along the seam. Or at least I saw videos that where you tack weld here, then you go over here. You keep bouncing back and forth so it doesn't warp anything. This one stayed a lot more square, but what happened right on this corner here, you could see I had to put another patch in. Well, that's because I got this all nice and smooth right here. Kept on tack welding. It was okay. I went to go grind it down and it blew right through the original metal. So then I just kept grinding it until there was enough material to weld to again. So I had to put a little bit of a patch there, hoping we could smooth that out with our next project. For the first time, I'm going to figure out how to use filler or Bondo. This piece of aluminum as my, I guess, holder for my filler. I don't know how much I need. It didn't really say in the directions. All it said was squeeze 3 inches of this at max and mix it in with however much of this filler you're going to use. Doesn't say how much I should use though. Ooh, that's thick. Is it supposed to be that thick? In all the videos, it looks thin. Do I just dip this in here? Maybe. And it says, don't squeeze more than 3 inches. Okay. And now I have to mix it around until it's all nice and smooth. I feel like I should have a rag or something. Oh, it's blue, my favorite color. Go over at the truck and I'm gonna see how this works out. I mean, I think that's mixed pretty well. I don't see any big streaks of blue in there. Yeah, let's take a little bit for now. Oh, oh no. Good thing I put this painting tarp down because I am making a mess for sure. Just finished up putting the filler on these cab corners. Overall, I don't think it turned out too bad for my first time using that Bondo filler product. Definitely a learning curve as you go. You learn techniques and everything like that. Didn't need nearly as much filler as I made originally. Had a lot left over. Got both corners first coat done, so have something to work with once it dries off. Comment down below if you're a body shop or if you have experience using this type of product, your recommendations and different processes that you've done to help the product. It seemed like it got hard very fast. I don't know if I put too much hardener in or what it was, but I've seen a lot of people where they're smooth, like the Bondo material is smoother. So that was kind of a challenge itself, but we'll wait for it to dry and then we'll come back out here, sand it down and see what we end up with. Are we clear of the truck?
I'm just guiding it.
Yeah, I'm trying to get it that way.
A little more.
To get beyond the jack stand?
Just so it lines up. One more tap.
Oh, we gotta get past the jack stand first. Huh? Mm. Now we're close. Go down a little probably, right? Just so we get closer.
Let me put the bolt in. So the
bolt. Yeah, the bolt and the small washer. I think it kind of has to go down a little more. Let's see how the back looks. We're close. Yeah, I know. I'm trying to line up the back one. Just like that, we got the cab back on the frame. And it's looking good. It'd be stupid if it was this low. But I don't think it's going to be this low. It's just on dollies right now. No one gets stir crazy. Don't worry. It's probably not going to be this low. I have no idea actually how high this is going to be off the ground. It's just set on dollies right now to help it move around. But we got the cab back on the frame, and it's looking pretty good. A lot has changed since I showed you guys the last bit of what I was doing to this truck. I got the cab corners finished up. Not 100% to my liking. Not my best work, but it's a good spot to stop right now before I get carried away and just keep working away at this truck. Because I know once I get all the body together, there's going to be body work that has to be done. So we'll come back to this cab corner once we get to that. Before I put the cab on the frame, I also installed the new fuel tank. It doesn't have the pickup or anything in it yet. It's just the tank itself. I got that set in here. I did some other work. What did I do? I sprayed the roof a little bit just to get cleaned up the rust, sprayed it before I brought it over to the frame. Try to do as much work in the cab that would get the frame messy before I drop the cab on the frame. For anyone else that's doing the floor swap in a F100, the floor, dropping the cab back on the frame didn't go as smoothly as I hoped. I was thinking that it was going to line up to this hole, right? Once my dad got the cab dropped back down on the frame, no hole lined up, but there was a hole drilled from the bottom. It just didn't go through all the way through the pan. So the fuel tank actually had to come back off, and I had to drill another hole where it looked like it was supposed to be. It was actually indented already, and I just drilled a hole in it, lined up good. They are tightened down right now, but I know once the fenders get on and I figured out what I'm doing with the bed, I'm going to have to readjust the cab because the whole thing moves quite a bit. So you got to square it up to the rest of the truck. Now that we got the cab back on the frame, we're going to keep moving forward with this project. Keep an eye out for future truck videos. We got a lot of work left to do on this thing, but we're headed in the right direction. So excited for it. Hope you guys are too. Also, let me know what you guys are working on this off season. I appreciate it. Head on over to my website, davidroot.com. Order some merchandise. Anything you guys purchase helps go to fund this truck project. I really want to get a digital dash, so I got to sell quite a few t-shirts in order to do that. That'd be sick. Oh, I got to do a lot of work in this area. Oh, dang. Well, all right, guys. That will do it. Hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Thank you for watching. Throttle down, and we'll see you at the races.